My name is Dr. Gareth Davies. I'm a consultant in emergency medicine and the senior doctor with London's Air Ambulance, a helicopter air ambulance that is dedicated to trauma. Sadly, an everyday part of my job is going to simple road traffic accidents that occur at 30 miles an hour and end up in fatal injuries. What you see in the video is a typical crash that we go to, and that crash comprises of 3 individual crashes. The first, when the vehicle comes into contact with another vehicle and it starts to deform, and it's at this point, although the patient isn't injured, they are going to be in a fraction of a second time. Many people think that once they have a crash they may be able to brace and protect themselves from it, but quite simply, in the beat of a heart, that whole event is over. No one has a chance to prepare themselves, to grip the steering wheel or brace themselves. The second impact, quite simply, is the body coming into contact with the car. That's usually in the form of the head hitting the windscreen or the chest hitting the steering wheel. And it's at this point you get the superficial injuries to the chest, the breaking of ribs, the fracturing of ribs, perhaps the fracturing of the skull and the bruising and wounding of the head. But those aren't the injuries that are fatal. It's the third and final crash which produces the fatal wounds. And those are the injuries where the internal organs, which are incredibly fragile, move forward and come into contact with the broken ribs. They puncture the lungs collapse. With collapsed lungs, patients can't breathe, they get starved of oxygen, which becomes a fatal event. In some cases, the heart comes into contact with the chest, and literally the forces involved will tear the heart or tear the aorta, and that's what you see in the video, the rupturing of the aorta and patients quite simply bleeding to death from it. And in the head, as the head hits the windscreen, again the brain is coming into contact with the skull, and that produces the bruising of the brain and perhaps even lacerations to the brain, which can result in immediate death or quite simply unconsciousness, and that in itself can lead to death. So there are many ways in a simple crash like this that we go to every day that can result in a fatality, and all of it can be prevented by simply wearing a seatbelt.